TIFU by trashing my ex's car, only to find out it was his twin brother's. FML. This is the story of how I royally messed up, and it's taken a bit to muster the courage to share. So, last week I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me. Yeah, fun times. After a year of what I thought was a solid relationship, I caught him red-handed, literally, with lipstick smudged all over his face from another girl. To say I was furious would be the understatement of the century. I stormed out of the house, fuming, and decided to take revenge the most immature way possible, by trashing his car. Not just any car, mind you, but his precious baby, a sleek black convertible that he was always fussing over. It was the perfect target. I grabbed a bat from my garage and went to town on that thing. Smashed the windows, dented the doors, and made sure the tires were thoroughly slashed. It felt amazing in the moment, letting all that anger out. I was screaming, crying, a full-on meltdown. A couple of neighbors poked their heads out, but no one said anything. I guess they knew better than to mess with a woman on a mission. So there I was, standing next to a completely wrecked car, panting and feeling a weird mix of triumph and shame. That's when it hit me the car was parked in the wrong spot. My ex always parked in front of his apartment, but this car was parked in the driveway of the neighboring building. I had been so blinded by rage, I didn't even check if it was actually his car. But, it looked exactly like it, right? I start to panic. What if this wasn't his car? What if I just destroyed some innocent person's vehicle? My mind was racing. I was like, shit, what do I do? My first thought was to run, but then I remembered there were probably cameras around. The thought of getting caught on tape and possibly arrested made my stomach churn. I needed to figure out who owned this car, and fast. With my heart racing, I went back to my ex's place. He was inside, looking all confused when he opened the door. "What the hell are you doing here?" he asked, clearly irritated. I could barely contain my nerves, but I played it cool, asking him about his car, trying to act casual. "Oh, I moved it earlier," he said, not really paying attention. Relief washed over me for a split second before he added, "Why do you care? We're done." I blurted out, "Where exactly did you move it?" He gave me a weird look, then shrugged. "It's in the garage. Why?" At that moment, I felt my blood run cold. I had trashed the wrong car. I was so focused on revenge that I didn't even think to double-check. Trying to maintain some composure, I asked, "Hey, does anyone around here drive a black convertible? Looks just like yours." He laughed, like I was making some dumb joke. "Yeah, my twin brother." "Why?" Twin brother. I had never met the guy, only heard about him in passing. They were apparently estranged or something, hence why he never mentioned him much. And that's when it hit me. I trashed his twin brother's car, not his. I could feel the room spinning. My ex stared at me, confused, as I muttered, "I think I did something really bad." I explained, half sobbing, half laughing hysterically, what I'd done. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Are you serious? You trashed my brother's car? You fucking psycho!" He was yelling now, and I couldn't blame him. I had really screwed up. He kicked me out, saying he never wanted to see me again. And as I walked away, the reality of the situation sunk in. I had destroyed an innocent man's car. I felt sick. There was no way to fix this without facing some serious consequences. But I couldn't just leave it like that. I had to face the music, as much as it scared the hell out of me. The next day, I went back to the scene of the crime. The car was still there, wrecked, looking like it had been through a war. I saw a guy who looked eerily like my ex standing next to it, on the phone, probably talking to the cops or insurance or something. It was his twin brother. I approached him, heart in my throat, and confessed everything. He was surprisingly calm, too calm, like he was processing it all. Then he started laughing, which was the last thing I expected. Apparently, he and his brother had a falling out a while back, and he found the whole situation almost poetic. "You know, he deserved it," he said, still chuckling. "He's been an asshole to everyone, including me. But, damn, you should have checked the plates or something?" I couldn't believe my ears. Here I was, expecting a lawsuit or worse, and he was almost, okay with it? He even suggested they'd get back at my ex together. I declined, obviously, but I was relieved he wasn't pressing charges. He said he'd figure out the insurance, and we parted ways. I felt like I dodged a bullet, but also like the worst person in the world. Update. A few days later, my ex's brother reached out to me. He wanted to meet up to discuss things, which made me super nervous. I went mostly out of guilt, but also to try and make things right. He told me he'd been thinking about the situation and realized it was a wake-up call for him too. He'd been holding on to a lot of anger towards his brother and said seeing the car trashed was almost cathartic. He even thanked me in a weird way for breaking the cycle of their toxic relationship. I didn't know what to say, but we ended up talking for hours about everything and nothing. My ex, on the other hand, was livid. He found out about the meeting and accused me of trying to get with his brother out of spite. I was just as surprised as anyone to find out he cared that much. Apparently, he thought I'd moved on too quickly and was using his brother to make him jealous. The irony, considering he was the cheater. I made it clear that wasn't the case, but he didn't believe me. He blocked me on everything, which was probably for the best. As for me, I've been dealing with the aftermath. The guilt is still there, but I'm trying to move on. I've learned a lot from this whole mess, mostly about not letting anger control my actions. My ex's brother and I have become friends, weirdly enough. We bonded over the shared trauma of dealing with my ex and have been a support system for each other. It's not the outcome I expected, but it's better than a lawsuit, I guess. FML indeed, and that's my story. I fucked up royally, but somehow things are getting better. Life is weird like that. If you're reading this and thinking about doing something crazy in a fit of rage, just don't. Learn from my mistakes.